Ordinance number 2015-51, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement for 2016 Ford Explorer Utility Interceptors, Ford Explorers, for the police department in the city of Maple Heights through Statewide Ford Lincoln and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to suspend, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes. May I have a motion for adoption?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the roll for adoption, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0. Ordinance number 2015-52, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement for one extreme duty custom pumper truck for the fire department in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading? Second.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to suspend, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams. Jones.
Yes. May I have a motion for adoption?
Second.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jackson?
even though it hasn't been mentioned, but it was mentioned last council meeting, I would like to remind the residents here that even though there's quite a bit of money that's being spent on these three vehicles, our finance director has informed us on how these things are going to be paid for and taken into consideration our financial status. That actually we have obligations that's going to fall off next year and the coming years. They're going to cover the new lease agreements on all of these vehicles, and I think that needs to be known.
Thank you. Would you call the roll for adoption, please?
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0. Ordinance number 2015-53, a resolution authorizing acceptance of the SAFER Grant EMW-2014-FH-00163 in the amount of $1,106,958 and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to suspend, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes. May I have a motion for adoption?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to adopt, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0.
Madam
Ord-
Chair. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ordinance number 2015-54, an ordinance authorizing the lot consolidation of certain parcels of real property located at 19950 Rockside Road, owned by the Drive Climb Car Sales Company LLC in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to suspend, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes. May I have a motion for adoption?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll to adopt, please.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones. Passed by the vote 7-0.
Okay, would you turn to your expenditures over $1,000, please? 2015-53 to 2015-42 expenditures. Do we have any questions, comments? Then may I have a motion to approve, please?
Second.
Call the roll.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojanski.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams. Jones. Yes.
Good to go.
Madam Chair.
Leaders? Mr. Jackson?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion at this point, at this time. We have had an ordinance in committee for over 6 months now. And it was rules of order, and had a lot of things in there that we were going to discuss. And there are a lot of changes that was recommended. And we haven't done anything with this piece of legislation for over 6 months now. And there are some issues in there that I would like to see addressed that I cannot bring up until this piece of legislation is dealt with. So this time I'd like to make a motion that it is brought out of committee, that is vote to rescind or to vote no on it, so that new legislation can be presented dealing with this issue.
Is there a second to Mr. Jackson? I'm sorry.
Second.
Go ahead.
Cefaratti.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
No.
Trojanski.
No.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
No.
Jones.
No.
Fails by the vote of 4 to 3. Is that correct? No. It refers to the law department?
That's right, failed for
Okay,
it.
for the legal.
Failed.
With all due respect, Councilman Jackson, I think with new folks coming in, and there is a limited amount of change, I don't see the need to do that at this time and point. With the new council coming in, there will be ample time to really dwell on it and do something that will satisfy everybody on council. But I appreciate your concern.
Madam Chair, may I speak to that, seeing that you made a comment?
No, Mr. Jackson, I think we're finished with that. Thank you. Can we move to the mayor's report, please?
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, now everyone can hear me. At the last council meeting back in July, there were some comments made by Councilman Brownlee in his report from what I have read in the minutes and understand about the city's need to appoint a fiscal commission. Now, if anyone or everyone knows how that works, there are residents of Maple Heights or business owners who do not have to live here, but run a business in Maple Heights that can be appointed to this commission. They would like, and the state is very clear, that any of these, and we will call them nominees, have a background in some type of finance. They ask for 5 names or applications. In this case, I sent them 6, one more than the 5. What they chose to do with those 6 names to date, since this happened some 3 months ago, I really don't know. The OBM, which is the Office of Budget and Management for the governor, who appoints this commission, appoints 3 of the 5. In this case, it would be 3 of the 6. I really can't explain why they haven't done that yet. Could it be that the governor is in Iowa caucusing? or he's in New Hampshire running for president, or his handpicked successor, the auditor, Mr. Yost, endorsed him and is now going to run for governor. I really don't know. What I do know is that they wanted 5, they received 6. There are over 70, at the last count, there were over 73, I believe, cities, villages, townships that were placed in fiscal emergency by this administration, the Republican administration of Kasich and Yost. I'm sure that number's higher because that figure was many, many months ago. So, a city like Maple Heights, I mean, you want to hear it again, we've lost over $10 million from the state and county cuts. Now, surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen, the news last week, the county appears to have a $27.9 million deficit. Did anyone see that story in the news? Yeah. Wow, how did that happen? Immediately they blamed the former administrator or executive Fitzgerald that he did it. He, of course, had no comment. So where does that leave us with any future funding from the county? Probably nowhere. Out of luck. So what I'd like to do is make a response tonight to Mr. Brownlee. And in a future meeting, I'm going to respond to a few other people who seem to like to say things, and they like to write things on the internet, and they like to blog, and they like to tweet, and all of that. So here goes. Good evening. I read an interesting observation recently. If people invested as much time and effort in their marriages as they invest in planning their weddings, the divorce rate would be 0. It seems to be a valid point, and one that might be applied to some politicians who invest more time and effort in campaigning than they do their elected positions. And I would like to begin my report by congratulating Bill Brownlee. You certainly will be judged by what you leave behind, a censorship. The first one in over 25 years in this city. As I said to you many months ago, Councilman, if it's fame you seek, I think you have it. No responsibility of government is more fundamental than the responsibility of maintaining the highest standards of ethical behavior by those who conduct the public business. There can be no dissent from the principle that all officials must act with unwavering integrity, absolute impartiality, and complete devotion to the public interest. Nevertheless, in the last few months, an incident occurred to remind us that laws and regulations need to be enforced. That diva moment was brought to us by none other than Bill Brownlee. Activity like this is the preferred weapon of weak and evil individuals. As Edmund Burke reminded us, in order for evil to succeed, it's only necessary that good men do nothing. Well, that ends this evening. Bill Brownlee's press conference last January was like birthday cake after the party, or a Christmas tree set out on the curb on January 2nd. We all wondered if anyone was listening. His press conference displayed a series of character traits that have become hardened and exaggerated under the pressure of his own defeat. Brownlee's self-confidence has slipped into denial, taking on the form of a generalized tantrum rather than a reaction to his non-performance as a councilman. His lack of respect for this body has turned into a graceless show of opposition, which then turns into a bad night, night after night. So after Brownlee's first year on city council of non-stellar, disappointing, and no ideas, he began his second year the same. He has nothing to say, and when he does, he says it ineptly. He presides over a press conference and looked more like Usain Bolt running from a house fire. Brownlee filed a federal lawsuit, but it just didn't lack the courage of its convictions. It also lacked its convictions. Brownlee had nothing to say, but he said this loudly and with great certitude. Lansky said I didn't file or pay income taxes in the years 2011, 12, and 13. Albers kicked me out of a council meeting. Montello took my camera away. Brownlee, 2015. Now, if anyone believes any of that, probably also believes singing an insurance company jingle will make your agent magically appear and give you some money. It also should be noted that Bill Brownlee filed a second lawsuit in common pleas court against all members of City Council, its president, and its former clerk. As I said earlier, and let's be frank here, folks, evil stalks politics. Its ideology may be nothing more than bloodthirsty, ego-driven, self-serving, shocking ignorance, but it is evil all the same. Bill Brownlee, and as he refers to her as his poor wife Lindy, have made the following statements on the Maple Heights News website and Facebook page. I have the floor, Madam Chair. I have the floor.
Wow.
You'll get your chance.
Wow. Madam Chair, would you...
These comments stand for obstruction, vilification, fake outrage, and manifest mendacity. Number 1, eliminate paid school crossing guards. Why are we so worried about the kids' safety crossing the street? When it snows, they walk in the street. Number 2 and number 3, close fire station number 2 and the senior center. Number 4, what welfare programs could be run by a nonprofit? Number 5, why are we focusing on the social needs of the community? I have to interject here, really? Our senior center is welfare and social? Shame on you, Bill Brownlee. Number 6, what if residents bag their own leaves instead of the city picking them up? Or what if the city charged to pick up leaves? Number 7, ditto on all recreation department programs. Raise fees and offer less. Stop giving out meaningless trophies. Number 8, this is a direct quote from Bill Brownlee. In the summer of 2012, I attempted to kill a groundhog in our garden with my .22 caliber rifle. I am sad to say that I missed. After firing 3 shots, I gave up. So what happened next to sure shot ex-Marine Bill Brownlee? The Maple Heights police showed up, confiscated the weapon into evidence, issued a citation with a court date. Defendant Bill Brownlee pled no contest with a finding of guilty and paid a fine. On Monday, January 12th, cowardice Bill Brownlee's attorney squared off against cynicism the Brownlee defendants, and cynicism won. But there is something wrong when those are the only 2 options. I used to think that the reason Bill Brownlee spent so much time yelling at public meetings, like tonight, was because he didn't get it. Well, I was wrong. The reason isn't Bill Brownlee doesn't get it. The reason is Bill Brownlee can't sell it. We have serious issues here in Maple Heights, and we need serious people to solve them. And whatever our particular issue is, I guarantee you the registered Republican, registered Democrat, and Tea Party flip-flopping Brownlees are not the least bit interested in helping us solve them. They are interested in 2 things and 2 things only: making you afraid of it and telling you who is to blame for it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you incite and divide people. You rant about taxes and money. You write about your government. You tell people City Hall, the mayor, the city council, and their president are to blame for their problems, and then you play that card. Not the one you're all thinking of, the other card, the wild card. Bill Brownlee may feel it is his turn now after all of the double dealing, but before he deals again, someone had better cut the cards. Bill Brownlee recently appeared at a mayoral forum. He made a great show of discussing his positions. Up there on stage, he talked about legislation. Down here on the council floor, he emphasizes that laws alone are not enough. Up there on stage, he stresses how quickly he will act in all areas when he's elected mayor. Down here on the council floor, he says things like, I know these are difficult times and problems we have. Up there on stage, he criticizes his own city government, which he is a part of. Down here on the council floor, he admits the city council from his own mayoral platform. I don't think Bill Brownlee is fooling anyone, up or down. Intimidation and personal attacks and lawsuits are your MO, Bill Brownlee. You insult us all, you unnatural noise. However, for tonight, and tonight only, I will offer this to the Brownlees. You stop telling lies about me, and I'll stop telling the truth about you. And once again, if you didn't hear that, you stop telling lies about me, and I'll stop telling the truth about you. In closing, let me just say, as mayor of the city, I'm ashamed of you. You are not a leader. Stop reading things from the internet and textbooks and grandstanding about all you do. You have accomplished nothing except to continually embarrass yourself. Let us all hope and pray this city and its residents have not been harmed by your irresponsible behavior to date. Thank you.
Councilman Cefaratti, District 3.
I had no report.
Councilman Jackson, District 4.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First off, the Democratic Club picnic is going to be held this Saturday, August 8th at Stafford Park, Pavilion 2, from noon until 4, I think it is. If you want further information, you can call 965-5357 or 323-8829. Secondly, we didn't have a recreation department as such this year, but there was still recreation going on at Stafford Park. Last week they had a big softball tournament, and they have two in the upcoming weekends, August 8th and 9th, and August 22nd and 23rd at Stafford Park. All games begin at 8 o'clock. They're using all three fields up there. That's how many teams they have. They expect 20 to 25 teams this weekend and 30 teams on the 22nd and 23rd. One thing that I was informed of, when these tournaments come to Maple Heights, all the surrounding stores get a boost because they get close to the park, and then they go to the store and they buy pop and they buy chicken and they buy chips and all of those kind of things. I was up there this week and watched a little bit of a softball game. Got me a couple of hot dogs and a pop. It might be surprising to some, I didn't buy chips. Really. But the weather was great. It's a nice venue. So let's support our city in showing up and supporting the teams that come here and show them that we do care about them. Next, I want to thank all the fundraisers, and I really want to give thanks to Linda Wolfhat and her staff. They work hard up here. If you ever come up here and you see the stuff that they do, and these two fundraisers, I know really took a lot out of them, but it was really a community event too. A lot of people came and supported. A lot of people just walked in, didn't even need spaghetti, but they left a donation. I thought that was really good. I want to thanks to the police chief and the police officers of the city. I made some requests about people running stop signs at different intersections that the residents had complained about, and a lot of curfew violations. And I'm happy to say that hopefully with the curfew citations being written, maybe those kids won't be out as much and creating a lot of chaos for the people. Lastly, let me check. Oh, one more thing. Tomorrow's the anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. And all of us in here, I think, remember when that was signed and what it meant. No, it meant the removal of race-based and discrimination against minorities, against the elderly, and against the poor. And we're still fighting some of these fights even today. But they've come up with new ways to try to hold down that vote of that group of people. And now they've even added it into that are college kids. They don't want them to vote. They can't decide if they want them to vote where the college they go to, or if they vote back at their home where they come from. Lastly, I want to talk about the motion that I made. A couple of residents got up today. The first thing they wanted to know, they had a question, and they wanted an answer. But right now, under our rules of order, we're not allowed to answer. And I don't think that's right. Not only not since I've been on council, but I think it's right. I spoke in that microphone too, before I was on council, asking why can't a resident get an answer to their question? Not after the meeting when only one person here to answer. I think everybody might want to hear the answer to the question. What I had put forth to my council members that I had wrote to give you that opportunity to get an answer for your question. What they decided to do, the majority of them, was not bring this piece of legislation out so I could introduce that. Now I was just saying we should leave that for the new council. Everybody know what the term lame duck is? I believe while you hold office and you're still in office, if you got some work to do, you should do it. Plain and simple. So I'm disappointed that I didn't get the amount of votes that I needed in order to bring that up. Because I believe now, as I believe before then, and I will believe tomorrow, that as a resident, when you come up to that microphone and ask a question, you should immediately be able to get an answer in the report.
Thank you. Councilman Brownlee, District 5.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. There were some comments made. I'm sad that Mr. Hardwick left. Appears he left. But he had some questions. He was questioning about the audit, which is a good question, but also about the trash money. And that's a question that's been asked for well over a year now. The recycling was eliminated, as we've all noticed by now, yet the money is still being collected to pay for that. And it's sitting in a fund that has a very large balance, yet that amount of money is being spent through negative fund balances in other funds. So while on the books that money is there, if you actually went to the bank account, it's not actually there. There's dollars are not there for being spent through negative fund balances, especially in the general fund. So that's where that money is. It's been spent somewhere else. If we had to give all that money back today, we wouldn't be able to. And that's actually on one of the ordinances that we considered tonight, so we didn't vote on it, but we will vote on it at the next meeting, more than likely. And council is still suggesting to charge that same amount for waste and what used to be recycling pickup. So they just keep building up that fund and building up that fund, and they want to transfer that money into the general fund so that it can be spent for other things that we did not mean it to be spent on. And all the while, we're not getting a recycling, which is disappointing because I hate throwing some of that stuff away now that I got used to recycling it. Mr. Hardwick also made a very good point. He was upset about waiting so long for the meeting to start, which I think we all can understand. But he brought up a good point in response to that. He said that council should meet prior to right before the council meeting to discuss these matters. So they have plenty of time to discuss it, and it doesn't delay the meeting. I think he's 100% right on. That's something that we've mentioned before in the past, that council should be meeting on a more regular basis, which was one of the reasons I didn't want to take a special recess during the summer, so we had more opportunities to meet and discuss things. So he had a very good point there. Mr. Terrell made some comments, has some questions for me. He mentioned haphazard renters. I'm sorry if that's what you thought I was saying. I was actually quoting what other people are saying. Some folks say, oh, the renters are just transient and they're interrupting things. They come and they vote. The renters were blamed for the the failure of the senior levy last year, and said, oh, people came out who just come by as renters, they don't pay property taxes. Yet, they don't vote nearly as much as the rest of us who own our homes do. There's nothing wrong with being renters, but some people want to blame the renters for things. There was a comment about an article on Maple Heights News. It's surprising how much that comes up in council meetings, which I guess I'm glad for, that people do see what's going on Maple Heights News. Giving up the seat to run for mayor, that was a comment that I made. That's a typical reference for whenever you're not running for re-election with your current seat. It's called giving it up to run for something else. So it's not a reference to I'm immediately stopping working in my position that I currently have. It's saying I'm not running for re-election for that position. So that was just, I didn't mean there'd be a misunderstanding about that. There are a lot of comments tonight. You heard quite a lot of comments tonight. And what I have to tell you is the same thing I've been telling everyone, is you're just going to have to wait and see how things play out. Just have to wait and see how things play out. That's what the court systems are for. The court systems are there to help us come to an agreement whenever facts are in dispute. Well, that process will be carried out, and we'll see what the truth is eventually. And I think that you'll be very disturbed by it. Concerning this most recent lawsuit, City Council was not keeping minutes from its meetings. These meetings prior to the council meetings, the caucus, they were not keeping minutes from those meetings and refused to do so whenever it was brought to their attention. They also held illegal executive sessions, which is a private session. We don't want our public officials holding private sessions whenever they feel like it. So there are laws governing when you can have a private executive session. Yet they willfully violated those rules. And so the only...
Madam Chairman, there's been no court cases still.
So there's no way to
Mr.
resolve
Brownlee,
this.
the court case is still pending. You really have no call to be discussing it at this point?
We're discussing facts that led to it.
Your facts.
So,
Breaking the law. Okay, that's okay.
can I finish my comments, please?
Please go ahead.
So we'll see how these things play out, and you'll see them for what they truly are eventually. I ask that you would take a honest look at them and not jump to conclusions based on some things that you might hear. We'll just stay the course, and we'll find out the truth eventually. The same thing goes for the financial situation of the city. We practically defaulted last year, and things are very, very tight in the city. We need to take that seriously. And one of the most important things that this body can do, that the city government can do, if they want to see more revenue, is to build trust with the residents. Not talk about things like traffic cameras. Not to demean residents when they come up and express their heartfelt concerns. That doesn't build trust. We need to be building trust. And taking the trash money and spending it on other things doesn't build trust either. So I would encourage this body and our entire government to consider how they can build trust with the residents, because that is what we most need in Maple Heights. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless Maple Heights.
Councilman Trojanski, District 6.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. I want to thank City Council for passing Resolution 2015-48, which was to designate the month of September as Save Our Homes Month in Maple Heights. For those who have lived here for a while, you all know that in 2007, 2008, 2009, Maple Heights was one of the suburban epicenter centers for foreclosures. And while the height of the foreclosure crisis is over, people are still losing their homes. And it's very important that we're providing a safe place, as well as awareness and resources to residents who are facing foreclosure. Because the last thing we want to see is another vacant home or another family is displaced. And so I am going to be working in partnership with the Cuyahoga Court Common Police, their foreclosure mediation department, to host an outreach event at the end of September in partnership with local agencies, and I'll have those resources available at the next council meeting in September. So that's thank you to the council, and I look forward to sharing that information at the meeting in September. Since our last council meeting, I had a neighborhood watch meeting for District 6 for Hillgrove, Franklin, and Clare last week. I want to have another meeting for more streets this month on Thursday, August 27th at the Lutheran Church of the Covenant from 6:30 until 8 o'clock. And prior to that meeting, the church will be providing a free community meal for the residents who want to come out. The address, if they're interested, is 19,000 Libby Road. And again, that will be Thursday, August 27th. The meal is from 5 to 6, and the neighborhood watch meeting starts at 6:30. I also want to welcome a new business into District 6 on Washington Road. It is the Capapella Institute. It's a charter school. Their purpose is to offer opportunities for students who are ages 16 to 23 who may have not completed high school, who have dropped out or been expelled to complete their high school education. So it's very positive because we want to make sure that people are getting at least the bare minimum high school education. So they're opening classes in the middle of September. So if you have any questions or you want to get more information about that school, you can see me after tonight's council meeting. I'm right now organizing my August newsletter for District 6. And for residents who are in District 6, please look for that on your doors next week. And with that, end of report.
Thank you, Richard. Councilwoman Agee, District 7.
Good evening. I would like to thank the residents on Watercrest for coming out last week to attend my meeting. We got a lot accomplished. Please join me on Saturday, August the 22nd for my annual back to school rally. It's at 12:30. The address is 5333 Warrensville Road. A special thanks goes out to Linda Bopak for doing a very good job in trying to keep the senior center on. In the report.
Thank you, Edwina. Councilman Adams, District 1.
Congratulations. Congratulations to the Senior Center on their successful fundraiser. Thank you, Linda, and your staff and volunteers. The American Legion Post 309 is having a spaghetti fundraiser on Saturday, August 8th, this Saturday, 2 to 7. Tickets will be on sale at the door. Donations are $7. Dine-in or carry-out available. They're also having a clam bake on September the 19th. More information to follow. There'll be 50-50 raffles, sideboards, and so forth. Calls about loud music. Resident was advised to call police non-emergency number when it is happening. A resident called about a suspicious moving truck parked on Walvin for a few days. Residents called police non-emergency number to investigate. It's been parked there for a while, and every time I went up, it was gone. So I told them they have to report it when they see it. That's what we have to do. See something happen, report it to the police department. A few calls about garbage issues. Streets involved were leased, attorney, and Dunham. I left a note to remove garbage and wait to put it out at the appropriate times. This week it seemed like it was heavier than usual. Next week I'll go out and deliver some more notes. We need to enforce the ordinance somehow. And I get a lot of calls about this garbage. 7.5 years of it. Every time I go out, give them my letter. It's good for 1 or 2 weeks. Then they're back to the same thing. Don't want to abide by the ordinance. People call me, raise an act. I go out, put out the same letter. I don't know what we're going to do about it. We don't have enough men to enforce it. And we shouldn't have to enforce it. That's a responsibility of a homeowner and a renter to take care of your neighborhood. It's a shame to go down the street and see 3, 4 different houses, garbage on a tree lawn. It's a shame. We can't send them to Sing Sing. Can't put them on the road gang, Bob. They just keep doing it. There will be a block watch meeting at 15712 Cork Hill Drive on August the 22nd. I and Erica will put it on. We'll have our finest police force there. Congratulations to Cheryl Clark. She just left on her scholarship from Councilwoman Agee in District 7. I was especially proud of her because I was friends with her grandma during my Teamster days. When I was president, she was my steward down at the Cleveland bus depot for the Cleveland School District. And I watched her and her brother go in to find me. I know her mother and grandmother must be awful proud of her. Good people. Thank you, Jason, for all that you do for this city. You're up here, you're at the post. I mean, you just, yeah. You're all over helping us in this city. So I salute you.
Thank you.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
And I thank all the seniors for their help and their fundraising and everything that they do. And you should be supported by the residents. And I hope you do. I'd like to thank the police chief for sending out a police patrol watching for speeders on Dunham and Summit. There's up there. And it's true. We have a lot of speeding on Dunham. And I don't know if they caught anybody or not. We can't afford to let a patrol car sit there all day. So they just want it. You might not see them, but they can't just sit there because they got priority calls. And I'd like to thank the grass cutting crew, our independent grass cutters. They came up to Stafford Park and cut our park grass for us. It was destroyed by vandals. Our flag raising was delayed and we had to do it by hand. They destroyed the poles and the ropes, everything else. So we're in the midst of getting that. But they came out, Ron and Agee, Irina, came up, got a hold of them, talked, and they cut it all up. It went up Tuesday. I took pictures. I got them. If you want to see, it finally looks like the old days. It's beautiful. They did a good job. We're back to recovery. They stepped up to the plate to help this city. And I want to once again say, please support the senior center. Get out there and talk it up. Without this senior center, just think what it means for our older seniors. They paid their taxes, they built this city, and we owe them. We should help. We should go out and really push. I think the mayor was incorrect. We pushed last time, missed by 55. There was a lot of opposition to other bills, a lot of opposition to it. Vote on no vote. Just say no more taxes. Well, think about that when you do something. And I'm sorry, I'm going on here. But think about one thing. Maple Heights is a bedroom community. We don't have no tops no more. 700 workers. We just don't have any, and there is no one coming. No matter what you say, they're not going to come. You're going to have stores, you're going to have outlets, but you're not going to have major factories with 500, 600, 700 people paying taxes to keep up our roads and our police department and fire. It's up to the residents that live here to continue to pay taxes. And you heard, we didn't waste your money. As you hear out there, you heard the mayor, the state took $10 million so far. $10 million, just think if we had that. we wouldn't have to ask you for nothing. But they took it. It ain't no lie. Check what the governor did. He's got a nice rainy day fund. And he said he did it. He did it on the backs of 88 counties in Ohio. That's how he did it. And nobody is saying anything. Very seldom you read about it. But that's what happened. In our county, what did they do? They gave you a break. They gave you 30% discount on your taxes on your house. Sure did. What did they do to the city? They cut our revenue. They cut our police, they cut our fire, they cut our senior center, they cut our recreation. That's what they did. Check your back statements. How much did you pay for taxes? I had people when I go around say, my taxes are higher. I said, yeah, they're higher because you voted for the different levies. Library, port, this, that. But take a look at what the city gets. Used to get $600-700, now they get $400. And that's what we have to operate on. If that's how you want the city to operate, that's what the service you're going to get. Basic service. Because that's all we can afford. Not us. All of you. All of you. That's what you decide because you said no more money. And we're mandated by the state to bounce the budget, which that's going to happen. And that means less services. I'm sorry, I had to go on about that. I apologize. And with that, I'll end my report. God bless you.
Thank you, Alex. Councilwoman Jones, just
Okay, you guys, now it's my turn. Hey, Jason, Eric, I'll tell you something. I didn't recognize you back there, but you cleaned up very nicely. I saw those guys, and they were here at the rummage sale. I mean, we thought they were off the street and they had their little Walgreens shirts on, but it was so wonderful seeing so much representation from the different Walgreens stores. So thank you so much for continuing your efforts in helping us. I'm not going to be long. The one thing I do want to remind people is that there is still a tax lien sale going on. It's going to happen sometime mid-September. Most of the council people here drove this list and identified the houses that were vacant so that they're not on the list for the sale. In conversation with the county, if you are on the list or if you got notification that your tax lien is being sold to a private company, if you're able to go into a payment plan or if you're able to pay enough on your amount owed to only have less than $1,000 that's a balance, they will take you off the list. So I just want to let people know that. And if anybody thinks that their name's on here, I have the list here for you if you want to take a look at it. Something that was really like kind of out of the ordinary for me is I went to a meeting on Tuesday and it was down at CMHA. And I saw an old friend of mine that I haven't seen for a long time that I used to work with in my day job, who's Jeff Patterson, who is the CEO of CMHA, and he invited us to a little luncheon, which included some of the other municipalities and some of the people from their building department. And they were explaining to us, and I'll do this really briefly, about what the Housing Choice Voucher Program is, because the open lottery was actually this week. And I don't remember exactly what day it was, but the day that it opened, and I think it started like at midnight where you had to apply online, they had 30,000 hits. And that just shows you just the need just in Cuyahoga County. They have 15,000 vouchers available. And they also introduced to us some of their new staff. There's a new director of the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and they've made some changes. Some of the little points that I just actually wrote down so I didn't forget to tell you guys. The average subsidy that they give per unit is about $503, which is something that I didn't know. And it's all based on, the family size and the number of bedrooms. They also told us that they terminate between 50 and 60 families a month, which, may not be a lot in Cuyahoga County, but if you're one of those, it kind of sucks to be you, because then you don't have your voucher and you don't have really a place to live because you're not being subsidized anymore. The tenants pay anywhere from 30 to 40% of their adjusted gross income, which means that they take out any deductions if they work, like for any kind of medical insurance. And the applicant actually goes through criminal background check. And I'm just letting people know this because I think that a lot of people that benefit through the CMHA system, I think a lot of times they get a bad rap. And it may not be them themselves, it might be, you know, the visitors or whatever. But I'm just letting you know what CMHA actually does with these, with their applicants. And I did not know that they actually go through a criminal background check. They do have annual and sometimes semi-annual inspections of the units. And if they don't comply with city ordinances, they interpret that as not complying with CMHA ordinances either, or what their requirements are for keeping up their units. It gets a little bit better. If, one of the things that I asked about was lawn maintenance, because I know I have a neighbor and I love her, she's so nice, and she's on the voucher system, and she doesn't have a lawnmower. You know, so I was like, who's responsible for cutting grass? And they told us that usually it's in the lease, and I didn't know this part. If it's more than one unit, so if it's a two-family house, the landlord actually is responsible for maintaining the exterior of the property, meaning the grass and the bushes. So I was like, oh, that's something that I didn't know. So what do we do when they don't do it? We get to tell them. And we get to let them know. CMHA said that if you let them know, they will send a letter to the landlord and to the tenant, letting them know or remind them of their responsibilities that they need as being an occupant in the home, in the county, and as part of the program. They also said that if the property is in foreclosure or if it's tax delinquent, the vendor, who is actually the landlord, will lose his opportunity to rent with CMHA. In the past, what they did, sorry, big P there. In the past, what they did was they had to wait until the contract was over, the rental contract was over, before they wouldn't allow that person to still be eligible to rent out his or her unit. But now, if they find out that it's tax delinquent, you no longer have the ability to, or the benefit of having a Section 8 client rent your unit. And I thought that's pretty good protection for the tenant as well as for possibly the municipality too. Then when it comes down to nuisances, they will send a warning letter to the client and to the landlord, and the only way that a client could lose their rental voucher is if it's a criminal or a drug-related nuisance or offense. So that's something that, you know, I wanted to make sure that the police department knew that if they do have someone that they can identify as being part of the system, if CMHA knows about this, and if it is something that, and I don't know, they didn't really say like the misdemeanor number or anything like that, but you can let them know and they will look into it. They do an investigation for all of the nuisances. And it's good that they have like a tight-knit ship, but what about all the other tenants that we can't do anything about? You know, that kind of got me thinking about, what about those unscrupulous landlords that are out there just taking people's money, letting them live in wherever they're living, you know, in whatever conditions they have, and it almost like it kind of isn't fair. So I just saw CMHA in a different light, and they're really trying to turn themselves around. And I don't really think that they're the bad guys that a lot of people give them. I don't think they give them really enough of credit. So I just wanted to enlighten you a little bit about that. If anybody wants to take a look at the list, it's up here. And I'm going to let Jackie end off so we could all go to bed because it's like 20 after 9. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Tony. Unfortunately, you know, by the time it comes to this time, everybody is tired and would like to be gone. But I would like to end on a positive note, and that's to commend council for asking thoughtful questions and getting all of the very important issues passed tonight. It's going to take months to secure some of the vehicles and to also get everybody on board for the police and the firemen. But with the legislation going forward as quickly as it did, thank you, council. And I also have to commend all of you know, just I was at the, of course, at the fundraiser, and I had a great time seeing all the people that don't see every day. You know, you stay in your own little environment, and you don't often go out bump into the into people at grocery stores, but the folks that had come from near and far, and family and friends, it was very nice to see everybody. But it's not just the senior center that needs commendation. I think everybody who is working in any department in our city, the police chief, the fire chief, our finance director, they are working overtime in order to maintain the city and to keep everything moving. Yes, things slip through the cracks. Yes, the pothole that you were looking at is not filled immediately. With only 3 people in the service department, some days it's really hard to do in a 5-mile span of city. But I think they all need to be commended because they're doing an awesome job of keeping the city afloat and keeping positive, going out for grants and searching for ways in which to keep the city as solvent as it can. And we haven't gone backwards, we're moving forward. And I see a lot of positives, and I see a generation of people coming forward who are realizing that we need to do it together. And that's not, it sounds like a sermon, but it really isn't. Anyway, it is, I know we know it was a little lengthy tonight. We will have a work session before the next meeting, and a lot of this talk will have happened so that hopefully we can be on time at 7 o'clock, so you don't have to wait for us. And that will be on August 31st. And also, I forgot to mention to council and anybody else who's interested, the Northeast Ohio City Council Association has monthly, or not monthly, but quarterly forums. And the next forum coming up is from the Ethics Commission out of Columbus, Mary Wilkie, and she will be at the embassies, no, it's not embassy now, it's a different hotel over in Independence. But that's coming up in September. All the council is invited to go, and a person from city administration and anyone here. If you're interested in going and hearing about ethics, there's a small fee, but it's open to the public. So that's this September 19th. We'll hear a little bit more about that as well. And with that, it's 9:25, and this meeting of this is adjourned. Thank you so much.